Okay, welcome back to Retro Racer. It's Monday morning, the 3rd of November, 2025, of course, just for people that may watch this in the future. So I've got both chassis sections pressed and shaped, and I do have to fit this little guy in here that I salvaged out of the old one, and that's where the lower rear front control arm lollipop mount bush, or whatever we're going to call it, long convoluted name there, but that goes in there. So I've got a reference point to measure that up. I kept the old sample that I cut out, so it's got the distance, so I'll take all my measurements off that and mark those, and I'll just pause and take you down under the car. So there's the left outer from the passenger side of the car. I've just got it all held in place with magnets, and as you saw in the car, I had a C vice grip just in there to try and pull the box section and the floor chassis section together. I managed to get the swages reasonably well. A bit of a gap there, but that will feel okay. I've got a copper plate to put under that, so I can just soak some hot weld through there, and unfortunately a bit of a larger gap there, but that will feel quite nicely. I did mention in the previous video that I was going to put a doubler plate there, but I'll just pause for a second and I'll show you where this mount goes. So that's roughly where that mount goes, and the lower control arm, the back of it, goes into there. That's already got the new bush in there and cleaned up and painted. That's one of the first things I did, actually. So regarding the doubler going there, I can't have it because that will be in the way, and I really don't think it's necessary, because everything's going to tie in. There's going to be doublers up in there. The weld can be, provided I do clean welds and I don't have to dress them back too far, apart from here, of course, where this mounts up. There'll be that will be a flat surface for it to bolt up hard against, so we'll get the proper clamping effect of the bolts. But down here and up there, the welds can remain, as well as inside, because I'm very lucky I'll be able to, with the amount of floor I've taken out inside, this will be welded inside and out. I'll also stitch the flanges on to there for the floor to connect to, and I'll just pause and get inside and show you a little more. And that's the view from inside. I'll just see if I can manage this through the camera. That's roughly where that lower control rear mount goes on there. So there's a fair bit of work for me to do inside to mount that, and there's also stiffeners that go in there, which I saw, which are partially remaining on the old rusted sections. So when I get all that set up, I'll tack it to only one of these, so that I can still move these in and out, but I'll get those flanges put on there as well. Just try and get that in focus for you. Yeah, so I'll get those flanges done as well, and then I'll show you, or I'll provide an update rather, once I've got that far. Sorry about the background noise. We've got a bit of a tropical storm happening out there at the moment, but I'm dry in here. I've just started tacking the flange on, and those flanges, as you can see, they're pulling, but I'll sort that out. We cut that on the new shear, the 300 or 350mm shear. I had to get Nonny to stand on the end of it, and then we were still struggling. So I have to pull my finger out and get a bench made up, a heavy welding bench bolted down, so I can use that much more easily. So anyway, I just thought I'd have a look at this. The holes are drilled for the plug welds. I'm just looking at that and I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to weld that flange on now and then straighten it afterwards. The holes drilled for the lower control rear mount boss that goes inside. So this one will go on first, so I can clamp where my thumb is and get that to mate up properly and plug weld it. And then I'll offer up the inside one, because there's a big cutout in the floor and I can still get a clamp through there. So I'm hoping to get these flanges done today. I've got another hour until it's 5 o'clock. I generally pull up about then, because then the mosquitoes start taking over here. Although if it keeps raining, I might go to 5:30, because it seems to keep them away. Right, the flange went on pretty well. Just been welding with the 1mm flux cord wire that came with the machine. Fully welded both sides. I put some rust converter on there because just the humidity was starting to cause surface rust there, so I'm going to put some on here tonight shortly as well, and I'll just let that do its thing overnight, and then I'll clean it all off in the morning and put some weld through primer on. There's a few gaps here and there, but I can either knock the flange up or drill and self-tap the floor down where I'm keeping that section of floor there. I can drill it down onto the flange and then plug weld it. So I'm pretty happy with how that went. That one I welded in sections, but this one out here I pretty much welded in one go in a sort of 45-degree vertical downs, and I welded pretty hot too, so that was I didn't have to take much off that. So on the next one I'll weld that hotter as well, so I can get a thinner, quicker weld in there. But as I said, I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. I'm going to then sand the whole thing off with a 40 grit flap disc to key the surface, and as I said, spray primer on the mating surfaces, and then I have to decide how this will be painted when the whole job's finished. I might just put some temporary primer on it just to protect it until the whole lot gets sprayed later on. Okay, I just finished welding the second one. It's still pretty warm. I controlled the warping a little better this time. Nice fast run in there. That's not bad for flux core. That was pretty much a straight vertical down. So that will clean up nicely, and I'll start putting this together tomorrow morning, hopefully. It's Tuesday morning. I've sanded both of the replacement parts right back and sprayed them with weld through primer on the mating surfaces, as well as the body and chassis, and sprayed into areas where I won't be able to get, even though later on I will seal the whole lot with the 3M cavity wax, as I previously mentioned. So I'm about to tack this one in. I'll start down the bottom there, and then adjust it where I need to, and just put a couple of tacks on so that I can take it off if I've made a mistake. It's not perfectly aligned here yet. I'm going to start at the bottom, and then I'll bring this up, and then I'll work out, being 3 pieces with the mounting boss for the suspension, I'll have to work out exactly what order I go in, so I can still get bits in and out as I go. So there's the inside view of the outside chassis rail tacked in, and I've just been cleaning up as much as I can, because there's bitumen, sorry, working through the camera lens, phone lens, there's a bitumen spray here. I don't know, I don't think that's original. I think it's from this repair, whoever did that. That was pretty heavy. It's about 2 or 2.5 mil. So I've been cleaning that as much as I can. I've just wiped it all down with thinners, and I'll put some weld through primer on there in a sec. It was fun getting up in there, I tell you. because I'm being lazy. The brake and the clutch lines are still there, just sort of pulled and zip tied out the way. But that weld, I had to file it down because I couldn't get the grinder up in there, and the rest I just cleaned up with that was a wire brush attachment on the 5-inch grinder, and up there was just with a wire wheel attachment on my drill. Because shortly I won't be able to access it. I'll show you what I mean in the next shot. The chassis is now all in place, and I've actually started welding it after lots of clamping to get everything to fit. As you can see, the box section of the front chassis has come apart a fair way to mate up to the chassis. So I'm just going to put a filler plate under there, a fish plate underneath, and fill it up with weld. This 3M weld through primer is very zinc rich, so I'm actually removing it wherever I can get to with a steel brush or a scraper, because it takes a lot of the current just to burn through it. I'm finding I'm getting a lot better welds by doing that. This section just here, there was, if you remember from the earlier part of the video, there was quite a gap there on that section. But what I did is I put the copper plate underneath, and thankfully it's cooled down. Try and clean it up a bit for you. That's just one run. It was about a 4mm gap, and so we've got penetration right through, and I'll show it to you underneath before I dress it. The copper plate backing is well worthwhile when you've got sections, if you're filling a through hole that you or something like that for rethreading or whatever you might whatever situation you might find yourself in. So that lollipop bush mount, I've screwed it up in there to hold it in place, to hold the boss in place, the mounting boss, that I repaired much earlier in I think the first video. Now what I did then is I put a square against the chassis and across the bush, across the mount, to get that as square as possible, because it actually has the locating dowels on it that go into the counterbores of the mount. So just try and get everything as close as possible. There's give in the bush, and any toe correction is just done by the tie rods. Alright, so I'll get that spotted in, and then I'm going to make up the stiffeners that were on the original factory, what was left of the original factory. There's 2 U-shaped stiffeners that go through there. I'll get those both done. As I said, that doubler fish plate under there I'll get done, and I'm still contemplating whether I'm going to bridge that from there to there afterwards with a U-shaped section, because if I fill that with 2mm floor section across there, that's going to tie in pretty tightly, so in effect it would box it anyway. And the floor is only going to get cut here. This is that previous section that we've looked at from underneath, and that's 2 or 2.5mm from whoever repaired that years ago. So it's going to get cut across here, and obviously all this back here has to be replaced rather. So I'm going to keep on welding, and if I don't get flooded out, we've got another afternoon downpour, and when that comes in heavily, the half of the carport does tend to flood just behind me with about ½ an inch of water. But it drains away very quickly. It's just the joys of living in this climate, I suppose. Alright, I'll keep going. The downpour has just stopped. It was a really heavy one. And Nonnie's sister kindly dug a bit of a trench there for me around, that goes around the corner to the, there's a stormwater drain up past there on that concrete slab. It's a bit how you're going, but it gradually works its way there. And what I just do for now, when the rain gets up, when the flooding there just gets up a bit high, I just put a dam in there, but I was a bit late with this one, so some water got through, but it's bugger all. It's only about 1/4 of an inch or 6 mil at the moment. That will soak away before I finish today. And because I'm welding under the car, I tried, because I'm just wearing my old overalls from work, so as thick as they are, the sparks still get through when welding overhead. So what I've actually done is I'll insert a shot of what I'm wearing at the moment, because I don't think I can flip the camera in video mode. So there's the engine subframe, the lovely little Getrag gearbox, beauty. There's that lollipop mount that I'm talking about. I'll just see if that's not too hot to... No, it's okay, it's cooling down. We'll just take that off. Sorry about the play. Just didn't want to drop it and scratch the paint. There's the locating dowels that I was talking about that go into the counterbores of that mount. So just uncovering now that I should have flattened that weld off prior to this, but that's no problem, I can get in there. That's a raw look at the welding. That's a overhead vertical down. That's roughly about 45-degree angle there. I'll try and show you. There's the camera level, so maybe not 45. And that's that weld I was talking about from inside. That's actually penetration, and I had the copper plate under here, and I allowed the copper plate to not be hard up. I actually allowed that weld to keep the copper plate away, so the weld could penetrate through and settle, and then I don't, in theory I shouldn't have to weld it again. This side is an overhead, not very pretty. I'll just pause for a sec and I'll clean these up and let you see how they look. That's just a quick clean up with the wire wheel. We just need a little dress there on my stop start, because that was a tack, and then I welded down there, then there's a stop start over a tack, and then through there, and that's my bad for not cleaning that up first, but I'll do that next. I just used a 2mm cut-off disc on its side, and I just diagonally go across the weld just to flatten off those welds between those two locating lugs or dowels, and then just finished it off with a flat disc in front, on top and below there, just so we get a flush mount. And then I just set the little Ream or Reaim Chinese MIG welder on 124 amps is what I'm using, and I just did a weld here, and about 20mm stick out, maybe a bit less, and just worked my way and welded. There was a fair gap, there was between 3 to about 6mm gap, so I just filled that up and joined the box section behind, the original chassis section and the new piece, just joined them all together. Now those plug welds were done with the weld through primer still there, and what I've done is just with the round attachment, the barrel attachment on my drill, I just messed around in there a little bit. There's still a little bit on the bottom three. I'm just going to finish welding this as the day is drawing to a close, and it'd just be interesting to see how much nicer these plug welds go. The first couple I tried welding round, but on the inside ones I actually just did vertical ups, just to try and keep the flux out of the way and minimise inclusions. So I'll do these 6 with that. Bit of the weld through primer was still hanging around in this corner, so the weld got a bit lumpy, so I'll go over that with a nice hot weld. And I'm also just going to put another run in there where this inner fender, inner guard joins on to to the box section. I'll join those three together through there too. That needs to be filled up, but that needs to be bent into the floor, because this section of floor, as I said before, has been replaced, so I'll be hanging on to that. So I'll probably, I may not bother plug welding it. I might just stitch weld it on the side and inside as well. We'll see. I'll work it out as I go. That looks terrible up there, doesn't it? That's next after all this structural shit. So it's 5:30 on Tuesday afternoon, so I better pull it up. And plus, I just heard there's deep fried chicken for dinner. So that's all plug welded. I've only just flattened the welds off a little bit. I'm not. It's not a show car, so underneath came up okay. And I'll just pause and take you inside to see what it looks like. Inside I've still got a bit to go. I just secured it. That's pretty much welded, apart from that little lip there. Still got a couple of plug welds to go, and then weld across the top there. Finish that vertical up, and dress that up a little bit lumpy there. And the floor will easily, just doing that by hand, I can match that up. What else was I going to show you under here? I think that's about it for today. Nonnie just came out to have a look to tell me about the fried chicken, and I just thought, sounding a lot better now. Geez, it's a lot of work. You know, these, I think, whenever you, or me included, when we sit down at night and relax, or at lunchtime and watch guys restoring cars, if you only knew how much work goes into it. It's amazing. Anyway, I'm going to edit all this together now and upload it. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining me on the journey.